is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle.
Yo, what's good, people? Yes, I know what you're thinking. I'm back in the car again. I know, I really gotta stop vlogging in the car, but I spend so much time in here. So I apologize for the lack of variety and where my introductions are, but I'm back in the car today. Here he isn't. How's it going, dog?
What's up?
Mate, you're looking a bit sexy for the country champ.
Oh, mate.
We don't wear jeans up here, bud.
Gotta try and adapt, eh?
Yeah, mate. What's going on, dog? You guys ever get those days where you just wake up and you're like, where the hell did the day go? Like, dead set. You guys last saw me picking up my little brother, and then seriously, I'm waking up and it is 6 o'clock. Matey, what's up?
Hey stranger,
You still recovering?
finally see your face.
Where you been all day?
7 o'clock at night.
I know, I was sleeping. What's up tonight? Are you doing anything?
I don't know. I'm sure.
Unshoresies, Manorsies?
An all-nighter, day off tomorrow.
I don't think you'll be having all nighter.
We are having an all-nighter, aren't we? Yeah, mate.
Are you gonna have an all nighter?
All-nighter.
You know our all nighters are till like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, because you guys close at 9:30.
But it's A for effort.
Everything around here closed like 9 o'clock.
That is the sad truth.
Alright, biggest snake you've ever seen. Welcome to North Queensland, mate. Look at the size of this sucker.
That's crazy.
That is the most disgusting thing I think I've ever seen.
Is that like the biggest snake?
Nah, we've seen one a little bit bigger. That is gross. Does it have a head or what? I don't even know. On this right side?
a head, but eyes.
Can you see its eyes?
Yeah.
I don't know. Ah, well. Alright, I think I'm still a little traumatized by that snake and how big it was. So, our friend Manu, who's up, it's her last night here. So we've gone ahead and prepared some lovely Chinese takeaway. Is this your cookie muffin?
Yeah, for you, that one.
What you got there? The whole bag of prawn chips.
Yeah.
What about everyone else?
I can get bars, screwed.
Wash your mouth out, lady. Oh no, we're so sad. Bye-bye. Wavy, wavy. Yeah, buddy. Later, skater. Alright, so as you can tell, we are back at the airport again. I think it's my third time in 4 days, which is fun. But yeah, if you can't tell, country towns, you do a lot of highway driving. Alright, let's see what Monday holds for us. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Okay, so in an attempt to keep everything fresh on this channel, what I've done is I'm going to do a question and answer today. Whether I do these weekly or not, I'm not really sure, but hopefully you guys will get some value out of this question and answer. Alright, so let's get this party rolling. Question number 1. What's your favorite meal and your favorite exercise? So I'm going to answer the favorite meal because someone else later on asked the favorite exercise question, and so there's a double up there. So I'll start with my favorite meal. My favorite meal is anything saucy. I'm a really big fan of curries and I'm a big fan of stews. How do you lose your love handles and how many times do you train chest? That's actually a pretty good question. Love handles, it's straight up diet. Anything to do with your stomach region and your abs, you know, genetically you're gonna struggle. For example, guys, when they drink a lot of beer, they're gonna put weight straight on into their bellies. And same as ladies, but ladies generally put on weight in their hips first. Yeah, love handles, you know, you have to be a low body fat not to have love handles. It's simple as that. So diet's everything. And how many times do I train chest? Now, myself, I probably do it a couple of times a week, but I've always had a smaller chest compared to the rest of my body, so I got really self-conscious about it, and I trained a lot of chest younger, so it's just been a habit. So I love benching. How much should you train chest? That's another question. Question number 3, as a personal trainer, what is your biggest challenge when training? Now this is a great question, but it probably could be answered in 2 ways. It could be, what is your biggest challenge when training a client? My biggest challenge when training a client is when their expectations are too high and they're not willing to put in the work. Now we all know that great results take work, but what we don't realize is that work takes time. If you catch what I'm throwing, Really good results take time. Now, I'm not being egotistical, but I get a lot of people that tell me, hey Josh, I really just want to look like you and I really want to lift as much as what you lift. And although I am young, I did start weight training 9 years ago. That's a long time. This year is actually my 10th year of weight training. To get where I am strength-wise, I've been doing this for 10 years this year. And that's just to give you an idea of where I'm at. I'm not even at the perfect sort of level yet, nowhere near. So my biggest challenge is when clients come with expectations too high of what success is because they've seen some commercial on TV or they've seen their friend, have fantastic results, but they don't know what it takes. Alrighty, so a much easier question is favorite sport. As much as I want to bag it out for how crappy I really think it is at the moment in the professional league, rugby league has to be my favorite sport. I'm a league fan at heart. Next question is, what's your best deadlift and what's your favorite training song? My biggest deadlift, and hopefully I can find some picture proof of this, I did a 242.5 kilo deadlift. Now, that was 1 rep with no straps, and I think I have a picture somewhere. I count that as my biggest deadlift because when I did that deadlift, I was only weighing 89 kilos. I did do a heavier deadlift. I've done a 255, but I was a little bit heavier. I'm not exactly sure how heavy I was. But when I did the 242.5, I was less than 90 kilos. I was 89 kilos. So I think relative strength, that was my best lift. And what's my favorite training song? Favorite training song? Ugh. I can't think of a favorite training song. I use Spotify playlists a lot, so there's some good stuff on there at the moment. Actually, there's an A$AP Rocky song that every time I hear that song, it pumps me up, and I actually just go nuts.
Been a while out for the weekend. Me, myself, and I, my 3 friends.
But also I don't mind training to the more chilled out music, like a bit of Foo Fighters and that. Even though this question was a semi-smart ass question, because I already know this, I'll still answer. What's your favorite indigenous traditional tucker off the land? Now that was actually a tongue twister. I really struggled to even spit that out. I love kangaroo. Does that count? Because it's only in Australia. Really high in protein, really lean. Can't go wrong, right? Alrighty, would love to know camera gear and editing program you use, and how long does it take for you to edit your footage, and why you do what you do. The why question, I had to go at this chick. The why question is really long. We'll get back to that at another time, maybe dedicate a whole episode. Camera gear. This right now I'm shooting on my Canon 700D. Now, to be honest, it's more like an entry-level DSLR. Probably set you back maybe about $1,000 with a couple of lenses, but I also lately have been vlogging on my Sony RX100. I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so lately I've been vlogging on this RX100 quite a bit as well. It's really good for vlogging because it has the flip up screen that goes up and down, and it shoots super high quality footage, which is awesome. Preference I'd shoot on my DSLR because I've got a Rode shotgun mic hooked up to it. What the shotgun mic does is if you face it towards something, it'll pick up that audio and sort of semi-block out the rest of it. Whereas the RX100's fantastic pictures, fantastic video. If there is even a little bit of wind, it just screws it up. So I haven't figured out how to put a dead cat onto it yet. Yeah, I mainly vlog on those two, and I actually use my iPhone a lot as well. iPhone's great for time lapses. How long does it take for you to edit your footage? Oh, it just depends. Yesterday's vlog was like a 12-minute vlog. That took me like well over an hour to edit. It was such a pain. So like maybe 2 hours. At the moment, I'm editing on Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro costs about $500. That is definitely not necessary for a vlog. I just want to make sure you know that. I use that so I can try and have some freedom and do the things I want to do, but iMovie or Movie Maker on Windows, if you're one of the weirdos that uses Windows, they're completely fine. And if you have a GoPro Studio is really easy, drag and drop. Now what you don't have is all the freedom. I guess the real question is, what do you want to use your footage for? Are you going to try change it and do particular looks? Like, are you trying to make a vintage look? Are you trying to do black and white? That sort of stuff. Then maybe it's worth investing into something a bit bigger. But if you're uploading to Facebook at the moment, it can only handle 720p anyway, so what's the use? So you just have to decide whether it's worth the investment, trying to make that really high-end stuff if you can't even use it for what you want. So, yeah, good question. How many Weet-Bix do you eat a day? I don't eat Weet-Bix, but if I were, I'd say at least have 6. What's your worst and your favorite exercise? My worst exercise? I'm gonna be really, really mean about this. I hate anything on an upside down stabilized ball, like a Bosu ball. I just think it's completely pointless. There's an argument, I'm squatting on an upside down Bosu ball to work on my core, but what's more core than standing under a bar that's loaded up with like 100 plus kilos and you're having to keep your core switch on the whole time while you do a squat, you know, like that's my worst exercise, is anything on that, unless of course that you need to and you can't lift heavy weights and you're injured. That's another conversation. But I mean, fully able people, I don't think they should be using those things. My favorite exercise definitely has to be the deadlift. I love the deadlift because there is no cheating. There's a weight, you stand all the way up, you lock your hips out and you hold it like a boss and you get from the floor and you stand completely up. And that's why I love the deadlift. I think it's fair for everyone. How many KFC chicken can you eat? On our trip back from Cairns, I gave it a fair effort. I think I got through like 4 pieces of chicken. Hot and spicy is the only way to go, but I hate original KFC chicken. Hot and spicy or nothing. This is a stitch-up question. It's the question with the most likes as well. Are the Burdekin Roosters going to see you out on the field this year? You know, after my last video, I'm sure there's a lot of boys from Charters Towers that want to take my head off, and that's fine. But this question's a stitch-up. Next question. How do you find the best motivation to exercise when you're too fat and your favorite store is donut time? You know what, I'm gonna be straight up. I definitely struggle with this myself. And what I mean is that finding the motivation to exercise when all you can do is think about food. That's fine. I have a solution. All right, you need to do one of 2 things. You need to lock yourself into a goal that's dead set certain that you cannot chicken out of. For example, the best training I ever did was when I was training for a fitness model comp, because I knew that in October that year, I had to get on stage no matter what, without my shirt on, in a pair of like Speedos, and I had to be judged on my body. So what that is called is stakes, so that if you don't do it, it actually matters. And then the other thing you can do that's really motivating is get a betting pool with your friends. So if the pair of you plan to exercise together and get fit and healthy, what you do is you both have to meet at the gym, and if you don't meet at the gym, you owe the other person $10. Or if you're into weight loss, you and a group of friends all put in $100 each. There's 5 of you, you all put in $100, and then at the end of say 6 weeks, whoever loses the most weight takes the money. You know, something to motivate you. Money's very easy. Like I said, you need some sort of stakes. What's your go-to meal when you're flat/tired and don't feel like making anything but still want to have a good meal? Really good question, Reese. I love this question. There's a quote to go with this question and it goes like this. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. And what I mean by that is you need to prep your meals no matter what. It might not be ideal to freeze all of your meals, but what you want to do is have sort of 6 to 10 meals, little takeaway containers propped into your freezer. So on days when you don't feel like cooking, you can go to the freezer, get it out and chuck it in the microwave. But I 100% recommend prepping some meals ahead of time, because there's nothing trumps real protein, real meat, real food, but it's got to be cooked already and it's got to be in the freezer ready to go. So just chuck her in the microwave when you're starving. This question's definitely a stitch up. How do you get those traps and what's your secret?
I'm too sexy for my love.
You know what, Brad, I have no idea what you're talking about with this question or where it's leading to. So I'm gonna have to unfortunately skip to the next question. Now at the end of this vlog, it's probably gonna get a little bit D&M, and I'm sure you can already tell I'm starting to speak slow already because you know, you get a bit emotional when you think about this sort of stuff. One of my mates, Higgsy, asked this, what's your worst injury and how did you go coming back from it, and the biggest motivation during that time? My worst injury, probably when I broke my leg, only because I dislocated my ankle and I fractured my fibula as well. So not only did the ankle pop off my leg, but I snapped the bone as well, so that was pretty tough. Now, how did I go coming back from it? If I'm gonna be frank and completely honest, the first couple of times I got really badly injured, I didn't deal with it well at all. When you feel a certain amount of pain and you really care about something, I think it's only natural to be sort of self-destructive, whether it's, you know, for me it was a bit of drinking, a bit of partying, and I don't want to be cliche there, but that's actually what happened. And coming back from it, my biggest motivation during that time was focusing on the end result and what I really wanted. So the first time I got really badly hurt, I just wanted nothing but to be back on the field playing footy. So I just drilled that in, and I just kept thinking about the end goal. I looked at guys who had been there before and been injured, and they had come back from that. You know, some of the greatest players have had some of the greatest injuries. So I guess keeping the end in mind. Although what I will say is when I broke my hand, then my motivation actually came from something different. I had to really ask myself in the mirror and have a chat to myself and say, you know, is football really everything for me? Or what really matters? I'm actually gonna tie this in with the last question that's on this. Another mate asked it and it said, what's your favorite quote and what's it mean to you? And how do you use it? So I've got a couple of favorite quotes, but a really good one is a Steve Jobs quote. And that Steve Jobs quote says this. It says, if today were your last day, would you do what you're about to do today? Now you can take that as light or as heavy as you want, but it's really heavy shit. My motivation, I had to really check myself when I broke my hand because I thought I really loved rugby league so much, but when I read that quote and the answer to that question wasn't rugby league, there were other things I wanted to do with my life if I knew I was going to die at the end of the night. So I think understanding your values is a really key component to that. I more or less use that quote as a focusing tool to make sure that I'm always heading towards what's important to me. And I think one of the biggest things with that is that, you know, what's important to you may change. When I was a bit younger, rugby league was everything. That's all that mattered to me. When I became a bit older, I really, if I'm gonna be honest with myself, I didn't care about it as much. I love the mateship, I love hanging out with boys, but could I fill that void with a different sort of activity or a different hobby, you know? I just had to ask myself the tough questions and then also had to go from there. So I'm gonna finish up on that one, guys. So that's a Q&A. I think I tried to get all the questions in. When I watch this back and edit it, if it's too long, I'm just gonna have to cut some out, guys, so I'm sorry. That was really, really fun for me. If you guys wanna see another one of these, please do me a favor and write down below in the comments on YouTube or on the Facebook status, either one's fine, that you did like it first of all, give me a thumbs up. But more than that, say you would like to see it again, and if you would like to see a question, could you write your question straight away so I can bank these questions up? Thank you so much for putting in the time if you asked the question, and thank you even more if you watch this tonight. Now, I have to get home before my girlfriend kicks my butt. All right, so I love you guys, and I'll see you all soon.